Welcome to my off-grid adventures. I'm Frank and I'm glad you're here with me today for what is a very unusual video for this channel. We typically talk about all the ways in which we use our 60-acre off-grid Michigan property, but today I want to share some observations related to a recent vacation that my wife and I took because we prepared for it, but there are quite a few things that we wish we had learned, and we think there might be some others out there like us who are either thinking about taking an all-inclusive resort vacation or are planning to and just want to make sure that they're prepared for it. So if that's you, I hope you find this helpful. What I'm going to do with you today in this beginner's guide to Mexican all-inclusive vacations is share 10 things that I wish that we had known before we went, and then 5 bonus tips related to taking all-inclusive resort vacations. And then I'm going to conclude with just 10 different observations and a review of our specific resort that we went to, which is Secrets Akumal of Riviera Maya, about an hour and 15 minutes or so south of Cancun. So if you care just about a review of that particular resort, you can skip down to that last third of the video. But I do think that what I'm going to share in these 10 things that I wish that I had known will relate to just about any resort, especially an all-inclusive resort. So I hope that you find these things helpful. The first thing that I wish that we had known before going to Riviera Maya Akumal, by the way, Akumal means the land or the place of the turtle, and we love that because we love turtles and we're able to see a couple of large sea turtles when we were there. But the first thing that I wish that we had known was just how significant the language barrier was going to be there. We interacted with many dozens of different people throughout the resort. We actually never left the all-inclusive resort. We didn't do any sightseeing nearby, but we dealt with a lot of people, and very few, if any of them, were as fluent in English as we thought they would be. And this was quite humorous how it first came out, because everybody asks you what you're there to celebrate. So each time we were asked, we said, as one would say, we're celebrating our 25th. And people would look at us with such shock and dismay and say, really, both of you? You're both celebrating your 25th? And that took us off guard. Like, well, of course, we're married. We're both celebrating our 25th. And in the US, I think everyone you would say that to would understand that you meant your 25th anniversary. But clearly, they thought we were saying we both were celebrating our 25th birthdays. We didn't realize that until we got to the room and they had this banner across the door that said happy birthday. So that's when it first dawned on us, oh, that's why they looked so surprised and shocked when we said we were celebrating our 25th. They must have thought, wow, America's tough on these young people today, because that dude looks a lot older than 25. So we got a good laugh out of that once we figured out exactly what they meant. But in general, the language barrier was much greater than I anticipated. Most guests at this resort spoke English and were native English speakers, but the staff knew just enough to do their job well. But if you tried to order something special or different from the menu, it was going to come like it was, at least at where we went, it's going to come like it stated in the menu. And there were a number of things that we misunderstood and they misunderstood. So just be prepared for that if you're going somewhere like in Mexico, that you might end up at a place where the language barrier is greater than you think, and it could just at least help you stick to the simplest of things that you want to communicate and don't try to get too complicated with people. The second thing that I wish I had known was to bring dress pants. There are many restaurants on each of these all-inclusive resorts. I think there are 8 or 10 on the one that we went to. But the majority of these restaurants wouldn't let a man in unless he was wearing pants. Thankfully, I wore jeans there on the flight, so I had jeans that were technically pants and they let me in, but I didn't feel right because everyone else was wearing dress slacks. It was very formal. The ladies were wearing beautiful gowns and the men were wearing nice slacks and shirts, and I just never anticipated that need. I had a bunch of casual beach clothes, planning on spending the entire week on the beach. So it presented quite a problem that initially I wondered if we'd ever even go to the nice restaurants. But I ended up wearing those hot jeans just to be able to get in. They do have stores, and I thought I might buy a pair of pants. First of all, they were 120 US dollars for a pair of pants, and they didn't have them in my size. I probably would have paid $120 for the pants if they had them in my size, but I didn't even have that as an option because it was so miserable wearing hot pants. But just be aware, bring some formal clothing, whether you're a man or a woman, bring some formal clothing. Number 3, avoid everyone at the airport. I wish that I had known that because there are a lot of people at the Mexican airport that are trying to sell you something, whether it's a ride in their taxi or like a timeshare type of a deal. Um, but we were hit by just dozens of people wanting to get our attention, and it created quite a problem when we landed because we should have just figured out what is the logo of the brand that we hired ahead of time for transport. We should have looked for the people wearing shirts that have that on it and just gone straight to them. So the third thing is avoid everyone at the airport except the people who have the brand and the name of the company you've hired very clearly visible on their clothing, and everyone else just kindly and gracefully ignore and move past them. The fourth thing I wish that I had known is to not expect the check-in process to be like it is at a hotel. It's not going to be fast. We had been traveling all day. We drove a couple of hours in the morning to get to the airport. We flew there. We had an hour and a half drive from the airport to the resort. And when we got there, we were hungry and we were tired and we just wanted to relax and grab some food. And I think it took us an hour and a half to get through the entire check-in process. And I don't think that's unique to this resort. And that will lead me to the next point. One of the reasons that they have you meet with multiple people is because they want to upsell you. They want to sell you a lot more things. So that's the fifth thing I wish I knew, is just how much they were going to try to upsell you when you're there. The first thing they want to sell you on is some kind of a tour that is related to a type of timeshare. They will tell you right away, this isn't a timeshare, but they're going to try to push you with an incentive of a $600 voucher to use while you're there, to go through this multiple hour long tour of all of the resorts that they're associated with. And maybe that is for you. Maybe you would exchange a couple of hours that you could have spent in paradise to be sitting through some slides and presentations. But for us, just about no amount of money was going to make us want to take a part of our day to do that. And they have this face down where they're going to look so shocked. Well, you don't want $600? And I watched them do that with other guests as well. So just be prepared to be presented with that upselling right away. And then when you go to each restaurant, they're going to try to upsell you on the higher quality wines and drinks. So you have to be prepared for that. There were also people from the resort trying to sell things to you on the beach, like hats and towels and light blankets. There were people that tried to sell massages and different things like that. Their massages at this place were like 300 or 350 US dollars. So I get a lot of massages and I've never spent anywhere near that much, so I wasn't interested. But they're going to approach you every day multiple times about that, and I wasn't prepared for that. So in general, just be prepared. People are going to ask you to spend more when you're there. And related to this, I want to say make sure that you have enough money for tips. Unless it specifically says that tips aren't allowed, tips will be allowed and they will be expected. So since you have so many people from room service to waiters and to bartenders and um, just entertainers and everything that you have, I would recommend bringing $400 to $500 in ones and fives and tens and 20s. And that's what we had, and that's what we spent in the week that we were there. We were there 7 days. Number 6, expect small meals. These are fancy restaurants that have high quality food, but like many fancy restaurants, the serving portions are very, very small, almost to the point at which you will laugh out loud when they lift those silver domes off of the plates to reveal what wonderful food they've brought. So don't hesitate. In fact, I would highly recommend that you plan to order multiple appetizers, sometimes even multiple main courses, and certainly multiple desserts. The salads were small, the appetizers were small, the desserts were tiny. So just be prepared to order a lot of food when you're at the sit-down restaurants and learn to order as much as you think you might need to order. Related to food, number 7, the seventh thing I wish I had known is that you do have to wait sometimes quite a while to get your food. And it depends on which of the restaurants you're at or if you're at one of the walk-up places. And I'm specifically referring to the walk-up places. You can expect to wait 20, 30, and up to 50 minutes to get food or drinks. And we did wait up to 50 minutes, almost an hour for one of our meals, and that was really discouraging to have to wait that long. So again, that one might be unique to our specific resort, but just be prepared to plan ahead and make sure that you don't wait till you're starving, because it sometimes will take a while to get your food. The eighth thing that I wish that I had known is to reserve some of the things ahead of time before you even leave home. So, for instance, they have special things that you can rent, like a bed on the beach. They call it a Bali bed or a Balinese bed. I think it's often called a cabana. Those were fantastic and we loved it. It was the best part of our trip, and I'm so glad that we did it. But we didn't know about it till we got there, and there weren't any available when we first arrived. So the first day we couldn't have access to one. So just look at a few of the options that they have ahead of time and make some specific reservations for that first day. And then likely for the following days, you'll be able to book them if you book it with your concierge when you first arrive. Related to that, related to things filling up, we observed this quite quickly that by 9 a.m., just about every chair was going to be claimed by someone placing a bag and a towel over it. So think through where you want to spend your day, whether it's alongside of a pool or on the beach, and before 9 a.m., go and claim your spot and make sure that you have a place to come back to and rest after you take a short walk. The staff at this specific resort told us that if you abandon a spot for about 45 minutes, they'll move your things so that someone else can sit down. I just think that's really important, is to know, especially that first day, that you have to find somewhere that you're going to claim and and stay as kind of a hub for what you're going to be doing throughout the day. The 10th thing that I wish that I had known before going on this all-inclusive vacation was to bring a number of things, and I'm going to have 5 items that I list under this last point. Bring plenty of sunscreen, especially if you don't intend on getting one of those cabana beds. I'd recommend bringing 2 aerosol cans if that's the type that you use. Bring 2 of them per person, and that's for about a week's time. You're going to use it, you're going to go in the pool, you're going to go in the ocean, and it's going to wash off. You'll be surprised just how much you're going to use, and it is a lot more expensive to buy this at the resort. So I recommend bringing at least 2 packs of sunscreen per person. Number 2 is to bring wired earbuds. I brought my AirPod Maxes, and I just, for some reason, thought those would be great since it's such a high quality headset. But they're big and they're heavy and they require power, and it's just not what you want to wear on a beach. So even the AirPod Pros, I wouldn't recommend bringing. Just bring some wired AirPods or wired earbuds that you can be comfortable using in the sand and on the beach, and that's just a lot better than the larger, heavier ones that require power. Related to batteries, I would recommend bringing a battery bank. Now, the Balinese bed that we used had power next to it, which was great. We just brought our chargers with us after that first day. But if you don't have one of those beds, you're going to likely be using your phone a lot for video and for streaming music or streaming an audiobook, and you're going to need that, and you're not going to necessarily go back to your room very often at a resort like this. So make sure you have some kind of a backup battery bank to take with you. I also wish that I had a waterproof case for carrying some cash, like a little waterproof bag that I could have over my shoulder. And that's for the swim up bar, because you aren't going to bring your wallet with you to the swim up bar likely. So just to be able to have some cash to give a tip to the bartender with each drink is very much appreciated by them, but not as often received since people don't often have cash with them at that point. The 5th item that we would recommend not forgetting to bring, and this is so important, is allergy medicine and cold and flu medicine. Things tend to spread at these resorts, so just plan ahead for that. Bring some cold and flu medicine so at least you can be as comfortable as possible. I caught something that really only impacted my flight home. Thankfully, it didn't impact any full day of my vacation, but I'm so glad that we had some Tylenol, cold and flu, and some Benadryl. You might also be surprised to be allergic to something there, so just bring all the allergy medicine and cold medicine that you can think of. So those are the 10 things that I wish that I had known before going on this vacation, things that I wanted to document for myself and hopefully for some of you as well. Now I'd like to share with you 5 bonus tips before telling you more about the specific resort that we were at. Number 1 is to just try leaving your phone in the room one day and just see how much more relaxed you can be when you're completely unplugged and unreachable. I did try that. Most of the days I brought my phone so that I could take pictures and video, but just at least one day, try leaving your phone in the room. Also, at least one day, try to get up in time to see a sunrise. It's worth it. I only did that once, but it was worth it. The third tip is to enable global roaming on your phone before you leave the US. It'll be a little bit more challenging to do it when you land, so make sure you have that set up. It's fairly simple to do. Just go to your provider's site and follow the steps or Google it. Bring a physical book. That's something that I would recommend, just so that you're not tied to a device. And I brought a great book that I enjoyed reading from cover to cover called Project Hail Mary. It was just so fun to read that. Even though I expected that I'd listen to some audiobooks, just having a physical book to read so was so pleasant. I'm so glad that I had it. And then the last bonus tip is when you're on the sandy beach and you have people behind you, stay on any of the wooden paths that they have so that you don't kick up sand that gets blown by the strong Caribbean winds into the faces of the people behind you. It actually is a common thing. You can feel like you're getting sandblasted when sand gets kicked up and blown right in your face. The wind was constant there where we were, so just a courtesy to recommend as a little tip is when you have a path that you can walk on, stay on it to keep sand from blowing up and interrupting other people's enjoyment of their time. Now I'd like to share with you what we thought of the resort in particular, the Secrets Resort in Akumal Riviera Maya, about an hour and 15 minutes south of Cancun. Overall, we give it a 5-star review. We loved it. It was fantastic. But there are 10 specific things I'd like to share with you in our review portion of the Secrets Resort in Akumal Riviera Maya. Number one is that the staff was always friendly and happy. All of the staff. We never had any exception to that. Everyone was happy, seemed to love their jobs, and they were friendly. Number two was the helpfulness of having a dedicated concierge. We were able to use the same concierge and contact her through the app to request things or to set something up that we wanted to reserve, and that was so helpful. Number three, the grounds were always clean. They were comfortable and stylish. Every restaurant, our room, the beach area, the pools, everything was up to date, modern, clean, and really, really wonderful. Number four, there were no kids. This was an adult-only resort, and I'm glad that we had that. There were no kids around, which is probably partially why the grounds were so clean. Now, number five, the food was amazing. High quality food. Everything that we ate was some of the best examples of that type of food that we ever had. From sea bass to salmon to steak, it was just fantastic food. Number five, the entertainment was fantastic. We had live music at almost every meal in each restaurant, and then every evening they had some type of a concert. So there was a lot, and there were other things to do throughout the day as well. But the evening events were spectacular, really. Really, really good music and entertainment. This is small but significant. The Wi-Fi coverage was consistent all over the property. No matter where you went, you were going to get a good signal, which was great to just be able to FaceTime our grandkids or our kids and show them what we were enjoying. The weather was nice every day. It was beautiful every single day. A little windier some days than others, but no rain, no storms. One of the other things that we really liked about this resort was getting a room that had an ocean view. When we initially were reserving a room, you have a lot of options, and we were considering one with a swim up door so that you could swim right out of your room into a pool. But those rooms don't have an ocean view because they're instead right up against the pool. So we don't regret upgrading to the room that had the ocean view. I think only one time all week did I see anyone in the pools that were right around the rooms. So it wasn't even that popular of a feature. So I don't recommend getting those. Instead, I recommend getting one of the rooms with a view of the ocean. You're there. You're not going to be in the room a lot, but still, when you are, it's amazing to wake up and look out over the ocean. And then lastly, the last part of the review that I think is helpful for everyone to know is that in this particular resort, we opted for the preferred plan, and that came with a lot of exclusive benefits that were definitely worth it. So we highly recommend upgrading to the preferred plan. You get, first of all, an exclusive lounge that is fantastic. It's open most of the day and evening. and you can go in there to get drinks or to get appetizers or desserts, and it was just a really comfortable air-conditioned place right in the same building that we stayed in, so it was really convenient. There were also certain restaurants that were entirely exclusive to those in the preferred club, so we were able to enjoy what I thought the best restaurant was, which was the Seaside Grill. They had the most fantastic breakfast with crepes and fresh fruit and all types of wonderful things, but that was exclusive to those who were in the preferred club. There was also exclusive dining areas within all of the restaurants reserved for the preferred members. And then there was an area on the beach that was reserved exclusively for those that are in the preferred level. So there are enough reasons to consider that being an upgrade worthy of taking. So it was a great vacation. I hope you enjoyed this beginner's guide to all-inclusive resorts in Mexico. I hope you found something that will help you be a little bit more prepared than we were. Even with all of the things that we didn't know about, we still had a fantastic time, so no regrets. But I like to document these things for myself and for others. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, would you give it a thumbs up? That really does help my channel. And if you do enjoy off-grid content or content about RVs or tractors, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join us for more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.